Hey guys, welcome back to Andy's Dinosaur Reviews, and today we are back with another brand new release, again from Dino Dream. They have been pumping out some awesome stuff, and this time we've got another Lost World Jurassic Park model. As you can see, this is the Dino Dream Stegosaur Baby and Cage. And as per usual, you can see we've got gorgeous artwork on the front of the box. The boxes from Dino Dream are honestly like untouchable. I don't think anybody creates box art or these, amazing images that you see on the front of the box art any better than Dino Dream. And of course, like, no more nostalgic than this. These things are incredible, and you can see, if you look at the top, you've got a beautiful Lost World Jurassic Park logo up there. Over here on the side, a little sneak peek of the Stegosaurus, and then again Dino Dream. And then if we take a look actually at the other side, pretty much the same thing, but a different image of the Stegosaurus now in the cage. And then if you take a look at the back, you basically have a few images here showing off a sneak peek of everything that's included in the set. So let's go ahead, pop this open, and check it out. So here is the cage for our Stegosaurus. You can also see we've got like some straw and stuff contained within a little bag inside the cage, because of course you want to, lay that out to create the overall display as you see in the Lost World Jurassic Park. On top of that, we've also got a card included within, and you can see it's pretty much the same gorgeous artwork we see on the front of the box, but you also have the limited edition number down here, which is really fun. And then on the back, you can see Dino Dream, and then we have our Stegosaurus itself, and there is our little baby Stegosaurus, and man, that is beautiful. Like, Dino Dream absolutely nailed this one. I love the colors of it as well. They did a really good job of applying, various tones of color, giving this one a very realistic look overall. And it's actually really quite small, which I don't know why I didn't expect it to be as small as it is, but it's actually adorable because it's so small. But honestly, this is a really neat looking set, and I'm so in love with the fact that Dino Dream has been creating so many different scenes from the movies like this that you otherwise would never have acquired from any other company, because so many other companies try to focus more on like the big scenes, like Spinosaurus destroying a plane, or the Indominus, like attacking the Ankylosaurus or something like that. Like, very few companies kind of create the scenes that you've been seeing from Dino Dream, like this gorgeous little Stegosaurus, and then the sleeping T-Rex, or the Compsognathus, and stuff like that. Like, there's so many really cool scenes. You can very easily tell that Dino Dream is a fan of the franchise in a big way, because they are creating the type of models that they themselves would probably want to see, and I've been loving every minute of it, and you can see that yet again here with this Stegosaurus. So without further ado, let's jump to a closer look and check it out from there. So starting up here at the head sculpt of our Stegosaurus, you can see it looks exactly as it does in the films, which straight out of the gate, of course, is a great thing. You can see a little bit of variation of color here in the face, as you have different shades of greens and browns. You can also see a brownish tone there kind of circling around the eye, which is really nice. We do have a black eye. It does sport a nice glossy look. You can kind of see the light hitting it there as you turn the dinosaur. We've got the ear back there behind the eye. You can see the mouth is in an open position. We can also see the nostrils right there by the beak. The beak is painted with a light tone, and again, the dinosaur obviously is in distress, especially considering the situation it is meant to recreate. You would definitely expect to see this dinosaur being a little bit upset, so you can see as it's obviously letting out a vocalization of some kind. If we take a look at the opposing side, you can yet again see how gorgeous that head sculpt is, and how nice the paintwork is that is applied. As we continue to move along through the course of the Stegosaurus, we again can see the ear. You can also see quite a bit of variation of color moving back. You've got a nice wash that's been applied to the Stegosaurus as well, it looks like. And again, you've got various tones of color with different darker and lighter shades of greens. You've also got like yellowish tones, even like some tannish tones, it looks like, moving along the underside. You can also see all sorts of really nice detail when it comes to the skin and the movement of the neck. Obviously, the Stegosaurus has its head turned toward its left, so you would definitely be seeing some wrinkling and creasing and stuff when it comes to the skin of the dinosaur. We can also see the plates beginning to pick up here on the back of the neck. As we move back, you can see some nice brownish tones associated with those plates as well. almost like a mixture of greens and browns, because you can see that the brown almost kind of picks up like halfway through the plates as you move up and then heads out toward the tops of the plates. Moving down into the front leg, you can see again the skin detail looks really quite nice. The paintwork also looks really quite nice. We've got more variation of greens as it kind of darkens slightly to a different shade of green down toward the foot. You can see that the toes look really nice. Again, the nails are painted with a black, and the dinosaur has its foot kind of flat on the ground. Pretty much the same for all of the legs here, because the dinosaur is just standing there letting out a vocalization, probably hoping its mother will come save it because it is in a cage. But as you move back here into the stomach, again, you can see more variation of color with really nice light greens. You've got yellowish tones. We can see brownish tones up here, even darker greens up there along the back. Just tons of variation of color. You've got all kinds of really nice detailing when it comes to the skin texture of the stomach as well. I'm afraid to get too close to it because my camera has like this big issue with greenish tones for some reason. It like freaks out and panics when greens are too close to it. I really need to work on getting a new camera sometime very soon. But you can see again the detail of the plates, if we can get close enough to show you, looks really nice. You can definitely see how they've applied dark washes and stuff to the figure to help highlight the detail up there in the plates. You can also see how it really smoothly transitions to the brownish tones out there toward the tips of the plates. I also love that we have like what looks to be like a dry brushing of a darker green moving along certain areas, highlighting the skin texture and looking exactly as I recall the Stegosaurus in the film looking. As you move down, you've got some nice muscle definition here in the thigh. Again, more variation of color. You can even see some really light hints of other lighter tones right there within the musculature of the leg. As you move down, you can see the knee. You again have a really nicely sculpted rear foot here, which you can see the toes, and again the nails painted with a nice black. And then as you move out, you can see the tail curves away from us here. More skin wrinkling increasing, more yellowish tones here, and brownish tones moving along the underside of the Stegosaurus. You can see more darker tones moving along the top of the tail. And then you've got those little tiny thagomizers out there at the end of the tail, which look really adorable. And then if we take a look here over at the opposing side, obviously the Stegosaurus has its head turned toward us, so this is the more dominant side, I would say. You can see some wrinkling increasing there in the neck, again with that movement shown. As you lead back, you see almost the same thing because the legs aren't really in too much of a different position compared to what we see on the other side, but these two legs are just ever so slightly closer together than we see on the opposing side. And you can see how it's kind of scrunching up the skin there a little bit in the stomach region, kind of pushing into that little area of, significant girth on our baby. Definitely a fairly well-fed version of a Stegosaurus. And as you move up, again, lots of really nice variation of color. I think the paintwork on this is fantastic, honestly. And as you move up into the plates, you can see again more of those light brownish tones moving along the tops of the plates. And again, more variations of greens, yellows, browns, all sorts of color moving through the rest of the Stegosaurus. You can see the muscle definition on this side again, the nails painted, the feet looking really quite nice, and then of course the tail leaning toward us. The only thing that I'm noticing is the fact that the thagomizers actually don't have any coloration to them outside of the greenish tones, but outside of that, I think it is a beautiful Stegosaurus when it comes to the paintwork. But you can even see on the underside, again, tons of variation of color, all sorts of really nice skin detail down here as well. This is absolutely an incredible baby Stegosaurus. Then we've also got the cage. The cage has like a really nice metal feel, so it almost feels legit like the way I would expect it to feel in the film itself. Again, there's not much in the way of fine detail for something like this because you wouldn't really expect there to be, but you can see it is painted with a nice kind of like a brownish tone, almost like a chocolate brownish tone, but you can see moving along, it definitely resembles the type of cage you would see in the Lost World Jurassic Park. Definitely the type of cage that they would be storing this Stegosaurus in, and obviously we can open and close the door, which is a huge plus for this because you would definitely want that to be the case. And on top of that, you can actually lock the gate there. You can see the little hole right there. Inside the package where the straw is, you can see right there is the little kind of latch that you would put through to lock it. And if you actually look inside, you can see inside we actually have the Lost World Jurassic Park logo down there on the bottom of the inside of the cage. Get a nice look at the inside overall. It looks super, super cool. And then the underside does state Dino Dream, Stegosaur, Baby, and Cage. It is number 84 of 3000 and Dino Dream. So again, always something to keep in mind is the fact that these are limited edition releases. And if you do want to get a hold of them, don't sleep on them. Don't wait. You really need to get them when you can, because once they sell out, I'm sure These are going to be very highly sought after, and you don't want to have to pay like secondhand prices at a later date, because I'm sure that would be a nightmare. But a beautiful cage to go with a gorgeous Stegosaurus. Now, if you just want to get a look at what the straw and everything looks like that you would use inside, it's basically meant to replicate the straw that you see in the films, and again, what you have inside the cages with the dinosaurs. So you just want to kind of spread that out a little bit, and then throw it in there. Kind of pat it down just a tad, and then the Stegosaurus, of course, is going to go in the cage as well, very carefully, because I'm kind of a destructive, very accident-prone person. And now it's in the cage and looks awesome. Man, it looks so nice once it's in the cage. We can also see the little locking mechanism down here so that we can lock that door. And obviously it closes really nicely. But let's pull the Stegosaurus back out. I probably should have just waited to do that until later. But we're going to get a size on our Stego. So for a length, it's a very small figure, as I had said. You were looking at about 3 3/4 inches, or around 9.5 centimeters. And then for a height, about just a hair under 2 1/4 inches, or almost like 5.5 centimeters on the dot. Also, as far as the cage goes, for a length, you are looking at about 5 1/4 inches, maybe a hair over, or around 13.5 centimeters, almost on the dot. And then for a height, if you go to the top of that little handle area right there, you are looking at about 3 inches, or 7.5 centimeters. For a size comparison, there is Mr. Papo T-Rex, the Attack Pack Colovosaurus, Robert Muldoon, and the Collect A human being next to our Dino Dream baby Stegosaurus. And you can definitely see, again, it's a fairly small set, which is nice because, again, it's a set that's not going to take up too much room. It'll be very convenient to put pretty much wherever you want, which is definitely a good thing. But you can also just generally see, again, that it is a gorgeous looking set next to these other figures as well. Then when it comes to a comparison next to some minis, you can see a Mattel and Captives mini here next to the Stegosaurus, which the Stegosaurus is only a little bit bigger than these guys. So I would definitely say it's not quite minifigure size range, but it's not a whole lot bigger. For another comparison, we also have a Mattel Velociraptor and Dilophosaurus, yet again showing you that the Stegosaurus is a good bit on the smaller side. And I don't feel like we need too many comparisons, but for one more, you can see we have the Hammond Collection version of the baby Stegosaurus next to the Dino Dream version. And obviously the Hammond Collection version is a bit larger, but man, does that Dino Dream version ever look a million times better. Dino Dream really knocked this one out of the park. So this brand new Dino Dream Lost World Jurassic Park baby Stegosaurus is fantastic. Honestly, it's even better than I was expecting it to be in person. I think they did a great job. Of course, the sculpt is completely as screen accurate as you are going to find. The Dino Dream products, I would say, are probably the most screen accurate out of any company releasing stuff like this, because most times they actually have access to the original SWS data. That usually means that you're going to find the most accurate versions of the dinosaurs that they are meant to represent, and I can definitely say that looks to be the same case here with this Stegosaurus. I think the Stegosaurus looks pretty much like they pulled it right out of the movie and brought it to my review station here at a much smaller size. Sculpt-wise, it looks really good, all sorts of really nice fine detail, and a nice naturalistic looking pose. Of course, it's going to be a natural pose with the dinosaur looking distressed and with the mouth open and everything. It is caged up. It's very unhappy at this point in time, so it would definitely be letting out a vocalization or showing some signs of stress of some kind, and they've done a good job of portraying that in the overall sculpt of this baby Stegosaurus. On top of that, they've done a very good job of applying the paintwork. There was a lot of variation of color to this one, probably even more than I was expecting. Really subtle variations of color, really subtle transitioning back and forth, nice usage of washes and dry brushing techniques to highlight the detail as well. And I think the tones of color are picture perfect to the way it looks in the film on top of everything else. The cage is really nicely done. It's, again, the entire set as a whole is nice and conveniently sized, so it's the type of incredible, very highly detailed display you can put anywhere to represent a Lost World Jurassic Park scene. And the cage, again, also looks like it was pretty much pulled straight out of the film and brought here to me on my review station, again, with a much smaller size. It's gorgeous as far as its overall appearance. Again, Again, about as gorgeous as a cage containing a dinosaur in a sad situation can be. And then, of course, you also have the kind of like straw to include on the inside to really help polish off the scene, as well as that piece to lock the cage. That's really fun as well. But overall, it is a fantastic release from Dino Dream and a very high recommendation from me. So if you are interested in grabbing one and adding it to your collection, I will include a link in the description to where you can do that from Lana Time Shop, because that is exactly where I purchased mine. So make sure you check that link, go grab this awesome release, and like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next review. Thanks for watching.